Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Sport This Week video. In today's video, I've got basketball, baseball, tennis, ice hockey, football, NFL, UFC, boxing, cricket, Formula 1, and darts news. If you are new around here though and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do really like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into it, I'm going to start off with the basketball news. So, Lakers won 112 to 108 versus Knicks. Heat won 119 to 115 versus Jazz. Celtics lost 111 to 109 versus Rockets. Warriors won 123 to 112 versus Suns. Lakers won 123 to 108 versus Pelicans. Heat won 138 to 119 versus Grizzlies. Lakers lost 114 to 110 versus Rockets. Celtics won 104 to 102 versus Timberwolves. Celtics won 104 to 102 versus Timberwolves. Clippers won 134 to 126 versus Warriors. Warriors lost 127 to 119 versus Warriors. That's not right. Sorry about that. Celtics won 126 to 112 versus Blazers. Lakers won 111 to 110 versus Mavericks. Heat lost 113 to 99 versus Bulls. Warriors lost 133 to 119 versus Grizzlies. Celtics lost 118 to 117 versus Jazz. And Heat won 112 to 100 versus Pistons. And that is all the basketball news. Moving on now to the baseball news. Astros lost 7-4 versus Nationals. Yankees lost 1-0 versus Twins. Red Sox lost 16-3 versus Blue Jays. Dodgers won 11-4 versus Guardians. Red Sox won 6-2 versus Tigers. Astros drew 3-3 versus Cardinals. Astros lost 1-0 versus Marlins. Yankees won 10-3 versus Blue Jays. Red Sox won 9-1 versus Rays. Yankees lost 9-8 versus Phillies. Astros won 9-3 versus Braves. Astros won 3-0 versus Cardinals. Yankees lost 9-6 versus Pirates. Dodgers lost 3-1 versus Rangers. Red Sox lost 8-0 versus Braves. Astros lost 11-7 versus Nationals. Yankees lost 8-7 versus Tigers. Dodgers won 9-7 versus Cubs. Red Sox lost 3-1 versus Rays. Red Sox won 9-6 versus Orioles. Yankees lost 5-2 versus Blue Jays. Dodgers won 6-4 versus White Sox. Astros lost 2-0 versus Mets. Yankees lost 5-3 versus Orioles. Red Sox won 9-5 versus Phillies. Astros lost 5-4 versus Marlins. And Dodgers won 6-3 versus Athletics. And that is all the baseball news. Moving on now to the tennis news. It was the continuation of the Indian Wells Open. Medvedev won 2-1 versus Ivaska. Raducanu won 2-1 versus Haddad Maia. Badoza lost 2-0 versus Rybakina. Jabir lost 2-0 versus Vondrousova. Swiatek won 2-0 versus Andreescu. Alcaraz won 2-0 versus Greek Sport. Medvedev won 2-1 versus Zverev. Sakari won 2-1 versus Pliskova. Alcaraz won by retirement versus Draper. Swiatek won 2-0 versus Raducanu. Medvedev won 2-0 versus Davidovich Fokina. Sakari won 2-1 versus Kvitova. Swiatek won 2-0 versus Kirstia. Alcaraz won 2-0 versus Olga Aliassime. Sakari won 2-0 versus Sabalenka. Swiatek lost 2-0 versus Rybakina. Krejcikova and Seniakova won 2-1 versus Haddad Maia and Siegemund to win the women's doubles Indian Wells Open. Medvedev won 2-0 versus Tiafoe. Alcaraz won 2-0 versus Sinner. Bapana and Ebden won 2-1 versus Koolhof and Skupski to win the men's doubles Indian Wells Open. Rybakina won 2-0 versus Sabalenka to win the women's singles Indian Wells Open. And Alcaraz won 2-0 versus Medvedev to win the men's singles Indian Wells Open. And that is all of the tennis news. We're on now to the ice hockey news. Where Maple Leafs lost 4-3 versus Sabres. Canadians lost 8-4 versus Avalanche. Canadians won 6-4 versus Penguins. Red Sox won 2-1 versus Predators. Bruins lost 6-3 versus Blackhawks. Maple Leafs lost 2-1 versus Avalanche. Canadians lost 9-5 versus Panthers. Bruins won 3-0 versus Jets. Maple Leafs won 5-2 versus Hurricanes. Red Wings lost 5-1 versus Avalanche. Bruins won 5-2 versus Wild. Maple Leafs won 5-4 versus Senators. Canadians lost 5-3 versus Lightning. Bruins won 7-0 versus Sabres. And that is all the ice hockey news. Moving on now to the darts news. Price won 6-4 versus Clayton. Van Gerwen won 6-1 versus Wright. Smith won 6-4 versus Dobie. Price won 6-4 versus Van den Berg. Van Gerwen lost 6-0 versus Dobie. Price won 6-1 versus Dobie. And that is all of the darts news. Moving on now to the rugby news. Scotland won 26-14 versus Italy. France won 41-28 versus Wales. Ireland won 29-16 versus England. to win the Six Nations. And that is all of the rugby news. Congratulations to Ireland, yet again winning a Grand Slam. Now moving on to the NFL news. Raiders signing Garoppolo, Dolphins signing White, Broncos signing McGlinchey, 49ers signing Hargrave, Broncos signing Stidham, Falcons extending Lindstrom, Ravens release Campbell, Keeley returning to Eagles in 2023, Falcons trading for Smith, Steelers signing Peterson, Falcons signing Bates third, Bears signing Edmonds, Saints signing Winston, Chargers signing Kendricks, 49ers signing Darnold, Texans signing Ward, Seahawks signing Jones, Falcons signing Heineke, Lions signing Montgomery, Colts releasing Ryan, Panthers signing Dalton, Cowboys releasing Van Der Esch, Eagles re-signing Bradbury, Cowboys trading for Gilmore, Jets signing Lazard, Eagles signing Penny, Giants trading for Walker, Dolphins re-signing Mustard, Buccaneers signing Mayfield, Patriots signing Schuster, which is a big signing for Patriots, as they also released Myers to Raiders, so Raiders signed Myers, Cowboys releasing Elliott, Browns release Clowney, Panthers signing Sanders, Saints signing Williams, Eagles re-signing Cox, Commanders signing Brissett, Bills re-signing Poyer, Panthers signing Hurst, Bengals signing Brown, Bears signing Walker, Giants re-signing Slayton, Colts signing Minshew, Eagles extending Slay, Bears signing Foreman, Bears signing Tonyan, Patriots signing Gesicki, Eagles signing Mariota, Buccaneers release Fournette, Cowboys trade for Cooks, Texans re-sign Tunsil, and Panthers signing Thielen. That is all the NFL news. A lot of news, a lot of transfers and signings. That is all the NFL news. We're on now to the cricket news. New Zealand won 2-1 by 2 wickets versus Sri Lanka. India drew versus Australia. Bangladesh won by 16 runs versus England. India won by 5 wickets versus Australia. Bangladesh won by 183 runs versus Ireland. Australia won by 10 wickets versus India. And that is all the cricket news. Moving on now to the football news. Lallana has signed a year-long contract extension with Brighton. Man City won 7-0 versus Leipzig. Porto drew 0-0 versus Inter. Real Madrid won 1-0 versus Liverpool. Napoli won 3-0 versus Frankfurt. Brentford won 2-0 versus Southampton. Brighton won 1-0 versus Palace. Infantino elected FIFA president. Tony is in the England squad. Ghent won 4-1 versus Istanbul Basaksehir. Fiorentina won 4-1 versus Sivasspor. Lech won 3-0 versus Djurgården. Basel won 4-1 on pens versus Slovan Bratislava. West Ham won 4-0 versus Larnaca. AZ won 2-0 versus 2-1 versus Lazio. Nice won 3-1 versus Sheriff. Anderlecht won 1-0 versus Villarreal. Fenerbahce won 1-0 versus Sevilla. Juventus won 2-0 versus Freiburg. Manu won 1-0 versus Betis. Finals won 7-1 versus Shakhtar. Union SG won 2-0 versus Union Berlin. Leverkusen won 2-0 versus Ferencvaros. Sporting CP won 5-3 on pens versus Arsenal. Sociedad drew 0-0 versus Roma. Vieira has been sacked by Palace. Champions League quarter-final draw. Real Madrid will face Chelsea. Benfica will face Inter. Man City will face Bayern. And Milan will face Napoli. And the Europa League quarter-final draw. Manu will face Sevilla. Juventus will face Sporting CP. Leverkusen will face Union SG. And Feyenoord will face Roma. And the Europa Conference League quarter-finals. Lech will face Fiorentina, Ghent will face West Ham, Anderlecht will face AZ, and Basel will face Nice. Newcastle won 2-1 versus Forest. Dortmund won 6-1 versus Cologne. Atletico Madrid won 3-0 versus Valencia. Udinese won 3-1 versus Milan. Chelsea drew 2-2 versus Everton. Villa won 3-0 versus Bournemouth. Brentford drew 1-1 versus Leicester. Southampton drew 3-3 versus Spurs. Leeds won 4-2 versus Wolves. Man City won 6-0 versus Burnley. Sheffield United won 3-2 versus Blackburn. Brighton won 5-0 versus Grimsby. Man U won 3-1 versus Fulham. Lazio won 1-0 versus Roma. Leverkusen won 2-1 versus Bayern. Rennes won 2-0 versus PSG. Arsenal won 4-1 versus Palace. Juventus won 1-0 versus Inter. And Barcelona won 2-1 versus Real Madrid. And that is all the football news. Moving on now to the boxing news. Dixon has signed a new contract with Matchroom. Smith has joined Wasserman. Harper will fight Bracos on the 20th of May, and Hogan will fight Metcalf also on the 20th of May. Canelo will fight Ryder on the 6th of May. Rosansky versus Babic. Bacoli versus Hulk. Dubois and GME TKV will fight on the 22nd of April. Buatsi has joined Sky. Buatsi will fight on the 6th of May. Waterman won via TKO in round 5 versus Lucas to become Australian light heavyweight champion. Suarez won via TKO in round 12 versus Fleming to become IBF and IBO Intercontinental, WBA Oceania and WBC Asian super featherweight champion, which I did predict right from what I can remember. Eubank won via Eubank will fight Kieta on the 31st of March. Zepeda and Silva will fight on the 25th of March. Flint won via TKO in round 10 versus Garside to become Central Area Super Lightweight Champion. Sylvester won via points versus Fryer. Watson, Brown versus Karami. Radovan, Walker versus Gardner. Maron, Moorcroft versus Bennett. Faulkner, Fanders versus Fakioru. And Zaram will fight on the 24th of March. Broner has joined Don King. Depina won via KO in round 1 versus Barnard. Tejada won via split decision versus Harrington. Pasmino won via KO versus Masov. Ball Jr. won via unanimous decision versus Stegall. Walsh won via unanimous decision versus Bentley. O'Connor won via TKO in round 4 versus Garcia. Hogan won via stoppage in round 5 versus Williams. Mosquedo won via split decision versus Garcia. Walsh won via TKO in round 2 versus Tucker. Justin Minks versus Fangs. Avia versus Bamba. Minicon versus Jake the Viking. Sharks versus Mitchell. Demore versus Knight. Slice Jr. versus Rose. And Smith versus Grakra will fight on the 21st of April. Ali won via decision versus Jackson. Rightchild won via points versus Fourier. Courtney won via points versus El Kaisi. French won via points versus Ellison. Dickinson won via points versus Ridings. McCormad won via TKO in round 8 versus Soki. Dacres won via TKO in round 2 versus Ismay to become English heavyweight champion. Price won via unanimous decision versus Masson to become WBA Continental Super Bantamweight champion. Pattinson won via TKO in round 9 versus Jenkins to become WBA International Welterweight champion. Asparov won via majority decision versus Glanton. Carroll won via unanimous decision versus Mariaga. Miller won via TKO in round 6 versus Brown, which I did predict right, and that was a kind of expected slugfest. Wardley versus Coffey. Signani versus Cash. Williams versus Wilson Bent. Hatton versus Fielding. Hedges versus Bokiansky. Kadiru, Almayuf and Uli Daj will fight on the 1st of April. Good to see Wilson Bent getting another very tough test, but love to see it, as of course found on the channel. Great guy, and hopefully he can get the win. I'd like to see him get the win. Simpson versus Neves. McKenna and Thompson will fight on the 25th of March. Manuel won via decision versus Hoyun. Chavez won via KO round versus Perez. Tudor won via unanimous decision versus Kato Kane. Gerardo won via KO versus Martin. And Gester won via split decision versus Diaz. And I mean, that's a bit of a it's quite a big loss for Diaz, and kind of shows that he's not really at the level I suppose everybody thought he was at. And now he's back to back defeats, if I'm right in saying. But yeah, I mean, that whole thing with Ramirez not fighting, that was stupid. He lost weight, he missed weight by a lot, and that is something that shouldn't really be happening. And yeah, I don't like it when the fighter does that. But yeah, now moving on to the UFC news. Makhayev won via submission in round 3 versus Filho. Ashmuse won via KO in round 1 versus Patterson. Duncan won via decision versus Marias. Shaw won via submission in round 2 versus Amikani. Vittori won via decision versus Dolidze. Maya won via decision versus O'Neill. Nelson won via submission in round 1 versus Barberena. Gaethje won via decision versus Fiziev, which I didn't predict right. Edwards won via decision versus Usman to remain welterweight champion, which I also didn't predict right. But fair play to Edwards. Very well deserved victory. Showed that first fight what many thought was a fluke. It wasn't a fluke, and I mean I was one of them people as well that doubted Edwards, and he showed his dominance in that fight. And I think the fight versus Covington will be a very good fight, and one that I'm also very much looking forward to. But Usman still showed that he has a very good ability, and I'd like to see him fight Muhammad. I don't know if it will happen. Somewhat, I would like to see that happen, and then whoever wins that maybe get a title shot after Edwards versus Covington. Possibly see, depending on what happens with Chimaev. But yeah, no, it's a great fight, a great card. And yeah, also on that card, Silva was inducted into the Hall of Fame, which I already thought happened, to be honest. Not surprising. But yeah, that is it for the UFC news. We're on now to the final sport, which is the F1 news, where it's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Leclerc had a grid penalty. Also, the Austrian Grand Prix is extended to 2027. But Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Perez was on pole, Alonso started second, and Russell started third. In the end, Perez won, Verstappen came second, and Alonso came third, with Albon and Stroll not finishing. Another very dominant display by Red Bull. Great race by Verstappen to get into the get up to second place. Alonso taking away the third place and then giving back to third place. Nice to see Aston Martin doing very well and Alonso doing very well. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.